Hey, Peter Gregg, Miami, Florida. Welcome to the Christmas Room.
Sit back, relax. You are about to watch a Peter Gregg video. Something warm, human, and wonderful happens when you watch Peter Gregg.
Here we are, guys. This is like an update to the Sony A7 Mark III. Today we're going to pick on it a little bit. Not that I don't like the camera, not that I'm having an agenda, you know, like a political agenda, like I'm a Canon guy and I want to knock Sony down. I prefer Canon over Sony. I have said that up front 1,000 times. There's reasons for that. But the best camera for me right at the moment is the Sony. So I've had experience with the A7R Mark III. I've had it in here for a month. And now I've got the A9 in here. It's going to be almost a month. And you know what? I wound up buying the A7 Mark III. So is the A7 Mark III worth buying? Yeah, it really is. If you start comparing it with some of the other stuff. Now, everybody needs to pick the camera that is tailored to them, is suited to them. And unless you're a camera hunter, because many of us are camera hunters, we just... I forgot to turn that light on. Somebody has to teach me what to do to remember to turn this light on, because I would say 5 out of 10 videos I forget to turn the light on. It does give me a chance to show off the fact that my Sony will focus. I'll walk around and guess what? I have freedom to move about the cabin. The captain, that's right. Let's do that again. I have the freedom to move about the cabin. The captain has turned off the no smoking sign and the fasten seatbelt signs, but I don't think you can smoke on planes anymore. I'm not a smoker, so you don't have to worry about that. So I'm coming over here to say hi to Jingles, but I don't know where he is. It's not nighttime, it's the afternoon, so Jingles should be right here. Jingle Bells should be sitting right here. Where is that Jingle Bells? He's not taking the bait. Jingles, come over here. Come on. Ella. He doesn't listen either. Oh, yes he does. Come up here. Come on. Up here we belong. People want to see you. So I'm just showing off right now, guys. I'm not wasting time. I want you to see that the autofocus on this little camera works, and it works really well. Probably works better than the A9 for videos and tracking. You know why I say that? I'm not clobbering the A9. I'm not clobbering any camera. I'm not a camera clobber. There's channels for that, where they get you by being, hard and coming down on cameras and telling you why they're terrible. No, that's not going to happen here. But there are features, and it seems like every step along the way, Sony has refined. That's a very nice word, right? Sony has refined from the A7, the A9 that came out, and it's like, wowzer, what an amazing camera. And then the A7R Mark III, and we figure, oh, this one's going to really, clobber, not give you much stuff. No, Sony gave you everything. Then they came out with the A7 Mark III, which is what they call their entry level. I don't know who came up with that, but that guy should be kicked in the butt. Because that was a terrible thing to tag onto this camera, because every YouTuber that I've seen that actually does a review on this says entry level. I mean, come on, it's not an entry level camera. If someone said, Peter, I look under the tree, I'm gonna go over here. Oh my gosh, there's 25 boxes. What's in those boxes? This is a story I'm telling you, don't lose track of it, okay? This is pretend. Well, open a box and let's see what's in it. No, I can't. I'm videoing it. Okay, I'll tell you what's in it. Each box is a box of cash. Cold, hard moolah. $100 bills. Oh, well then I'm rich. So I said all that to say, if I had a choice between the A9 and the A7 Mark III, which is what you're watching, I didn't even do that part, which camera would I pick? You're watching the A7 Mark III, ISO 640, shutter speed 50. I'm set to 24p, 100 megabytes per second. I have done my white balance with a better white balance. I've done it both ways, kind of like for a backup. And what else? I'm using an external mic. Okay, so we caught up. 50 millimeter lens set at 1.4. That's the 50 millimeter 1.4 FE lens, Sony, Zeiss, whatever googly gotch names. All the stuff to the equipment down below. So you can click on it. Not only take my comments, you can read other people's comments. That's why I put it down there. It's not just so you can buy it. You ready to buy a lens right now? Then, you know, what's the point of putting all the comments, the links down there? It's so you can go read the other comments. So if somebody said, Peter, no money involved, you want the A9 or you want the A7 Mark III? I take the A7 Mark III because it's a little bit more refined. How is it more refined? All right, well, let's pick on these cameras a little bit, all right? Let's stay focused with the A7 Mark III because this is the hot camera. This is what people want to know about. Why did I pick it? How am I doing with it? I already did a video that said I'm doing really good. I'm still doing good, but let me show you some things about the A7 Mark III that I don't like. And this is not like my top 5 things that I don't like about the A7 Mark III. They do that. I do that. It's basically for clickbait because all the Sony people are going to go in there and go, okay, we're going to prove this guy wrong. Okay. All right. One of the major things is so tiny, it's almost not worth mentioning, but it can kill your camera in a heartbeat. And I mean dead in its tracks. And yet it's so minute. I haven't even mentioned it. And I mention everything. No, I don't. I'm teasing you. All right, here's the thing. They got these little things for the straps. See these little things? There's one on this side. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And then you can do the same thing. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It can almost become mesmerizing. And some people will be fixated on it, just trying to keep it from touching the body. All right, those things can cause you a problem. How? All right, here's the A9. The A9's got little secret doors. There's one here, and it opens up. And I can turn that, and there's another one here, and it opens up. Is there another one down here? Yeah, sure is. Another one down here. So these are all the connections, right? So on the top, and this where my finger is, see where my finger is? I'll put it up here so it'll focus. Up here, there is a plug-in for the mic. How many of you guys use an external mic? Now, not everybody, but a lot of us will use it sometimes. So it's over here. Well, you know what? On the A7 Mark III, it's not over here. They moved it over here in line with the little wiggly that you could tickle pickle right here, okay? And it's not low, it's high, and it's metal. Do you know on your stereo amplifier, the wires that you have to the speakers, you know, if you strip a wire, it's got like a lot of threads in there. Do you know if one of those threads touch from the left speaker to the right speaker, it'll blow out your amp? It'll just short circuit your amp just like that. Okay, now it's not going to happen every time, but most of the time it will. And that's why many times the new stereos, when you turn them on, I'm talking about high-end stereos now, okay, there'll be a wait time and then it'll click on. It's making sure there's no shorts in the line. All right, now when you plug in the plug, wrong side. Now when you plug, made me look so smart there, right? When you plug in the plug over here on the A7 Mark III, this metal thing is right in line to tap and touch the metal that you're pushing in, the 3/8 plug. And you could short out your amps. Your sound will be gone. Gone. Just like that. It's so dumb. It could have been lowered by 1/2 of an inch, but it's right there. And yes, the bottom of this is 100% metal. And the other side is touching the body of the camera. That is really a dumb place to put that. It makes me cringe every time I put it in. And what if I'm actually out in the field and I'm shooting? And what if it actually pulls out a little bit on the A7 Mark III? I can short out my amplifier, my audio system, and I'll go like, I don't know what happened. And then I'll get up on the forums and go like, my sound just stopped. Well, you know why? Because you've got to be really careful you don't short it out, because it's right there with the little dingly things that just dingle dangle, you know? How your things dingle dangle over here? Doesn't your thing dingle dangle over here? Anyway, it's made out of metal. I'm playing, I understand it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, but the point is, it could be serious, but it's not something you'd ever really think about. So that's one of my biggest complaints. The other thing that I'd have to say can't be qualified or classified as a complaint. And the reason why it can't be classified as a complaint is because it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way things are. It's what they call the nature of the beast. And that is that Panasonic, what camera is this? This is a GH5? This is the GH4, all right? So Panasonic cameras are like cameras that happen to have an electronic sensor in there, a digital sensor. Canon is a camera. It's really a camera company that went digital. Nikon, even more. I mean, those things are like machines. They're gorgeous, all right? This is the opposite. This is kind of like a computer that you're going to operate almost like a video game, you know, or a piece of software, and it happens to take pictures. It's the complete opposite. Is that a negative thing? Is it something that I'm slamming? No. But here's where it can go awry and how it's going to actually bother you in some sense, all right? The way it could bother you is that what Sony does is every time they find something wrong or something that you need, they throw something else in the menu. So you need something pertaining to your audio, you go to the audio section of the menu, boom, you got a lot of choices. Video, for the focusing, they keep giving you choice after choice. But Peter, isn't that good? Yeah, it is. To be honest with you, it's very good. The trouble is their menus are all scrambled because they just keep piling it on. So you get the good stuff, yes, but it can be confusing if you get under pressure. Like here in the Christmas room, I'm free to walk about, and I enjoy doing that because one of the reasons that I picked this camera is so that I can. And because I can, I do. And I walk around and I'm showing you what I'm talking about. So, but isn't that a good thing to be able to do something like that, to, you know, to fine tune it? Yeah, but I took the camera with me to Easter to my brother's house, and we have a large family and there were some friends there. So what happens is there's a lot of people in the frame. Now, when there's a lot of people in the frame, things can get confusing right quick. Now, at the house, there's not a lot of pressure. But what if you were in a professional environment? From the 1970s and 80s, I'm a professional product, portrait, wedding, and event photographer. All the way through film, Hasselblads, the Rollei SL66, the Minolta 2¼ cameras, eventually to the 35mm cameras, but I kind of stayed in with the medium format. And boom, right around 2000, 2001, the Canon dropped the bomb with the D30, and I've had almost every camera ever since. Okay, D30, D60, the 10D, 20D, 30D, 40D, switched to the 1D, the 1D Mark III, the 1DS, the 1DX, all of that. And when they were tripping up and Canon did have a hobble, I went and added Nikon. So I have a lot of experience with cameras, all right? Now this one can be a handful, and here's why, all right? Picture this. Rome, 1927. No, wrong picture. All right, picture this. The dining room. Everyone's there for Easter. 10, 15 people in the room. The camera is going to do face detection. Great! You got any problem with face detection? Come on, meet me out back. Well, we'll take care of it, just you and me, okay? We'll have an ice cream lick-off. All right, whoever eats their ice cream first is the loser. All right, but anyway, the thing is, with the autofocus system, it's got a priority on face detection. And if I wanted to focus on my sister-in-law, okay, it's going to go and focus on my sister-in-law. But as soon as other people, her children, her husband, other people come in and they come around the table, the camera's like, oh boy, this is like candy, all these faces to focus on. So it's got all these focus. I wanted to focus on that one face. Okay, I wanted to focus on my niece. She was frosting the cupcakes. And this is true, okay? She had baked the cupcakes. They were warm, so she left them in the kitchen to cool off. And then she brought them to the table, and everybody's around the table. And she's now putting the frosting. Delicious peanut butter frosting, buttercream frosting. All right, so I want that to be in focus. I'm telling the story. That's why you're videoing. That's why you take the camera. So what are you going to do? You're going to tap. So the tap is going to do tap and track. But guess what? If you do tap and track, face detection takes priority. So it's going to go jump back to my brother's face or my sister-in-law's face or somebody else's face, and I want the stinking cupcakes in focus. So what do you got to do? You got to turn off the face detection. So on the camera, I had to press and assign on this button to turn off face detection, and on this button I had to make it turn off the focus lock, because now if you're doing the focus tapping, it'll jump to something similar, and what you really need to do is you need to change to a different focus program. So I've got like 3 or 4 buttons in combination with the actual function buttons, and also the function button, which will bring up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different choices. Now I have programmed those in because when you're at a wedding, let's pick on a wedding because that's a high pressure environment. You need to quickly make sure that this camera is going to lock on that bride. Okay, now an experienced Sony user is going to say, register the face. Well, you can register 3 faces, all right, and that's all well and good. However, you do need to be in a lot more control than just register the face. That is not going to hack it. You need to drive this Lamborghini, you know, which sometimes can get rough going around the edges, and you can lose the back end of the car if you don't know how to steer into a corner. That's the same position that the Sony puts you into. So that is, I'm calling it a negative, but it's more of a realization that you really have to drive this camera. It's important that you drive the camera, where the Canon, all you have to do is tap on those cupcakes and it's going to track those cupcakes. Honest to God, it will do that. And the Sony will not. The Sony, oh, you're in face detection? That's our priority. So you got to turn face detection off. And then sometimes you need to turn the face detection right back on because you went from the frosting of the cupcakes at the dinner table. Now you're going to somebody eating the piece of chocolate cake. And yes, we did have chocolate cake, okay? And it was great. And I ate a big piece. I was going to say I had 2, but I just had a bigger piece. But the point is, at that point, I don't want to focus on the chocolate cake. I want to focus on the person that's actually eating the cake. So I have to switch kind of like a 5-speed transmission or an 8-speed transmission. I got to turn things on. I got to turn things off. Remember The Wizard of Oz? Remember when they pull back the drape? If you haven't seen this movie, there's this guy that's got all these dials and valves and knobs and things that he's turning on and off in The Wizard of Oz. And he's in the corner, and in the big picture, there's this big wizard that's like booming and scaring the living crap out of everybody. But there's this little guy that's, you know, running the gears, kind of like a big pipe organ with all kinds of knobs. This is kind of like what you're doing with the Sony. You are basically running, changing valves, changing buttons, changing gears, you know, all through the operation. Now, is it a deal breaker? No, 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 no. I'm emphasizing or overemphasizing this so that you really understand, all right, that you really have to get a hold of the camera and you've got to drive the camera yourself. When you learn, like I've had the camera now for 5, 6, 7 days, as you ease into it, a person that bought a Sony that's never experienced a Canon or a Nikon is going to go like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's the way it works, okay? Now, coming from cameras that actually work more like cameras, like they know that the focus of a particular subject is super important because you're telling a story, either in pictures or you're telling a story in video. Did you get that? Either in pictures or in video. All right, so what Sony does is they keep piling stuff in to these menus, and that's great. But you need to realize that it can overwhelm you. And there will be a learning curve. If you're new to the Sony, stick with it, all right? I'm used to cameras, so I've had it for about a week. I'm rounding her out now. And I'm getting the hang of it better. However, in my mind, I'm not only thinking for family, I'm thinking for high pressure, because when you're in a wedding situation, you're truly, truly in a very high pressure situation. And you need to be able to turn that face detection off. You need to stop it from popping around with the track and tap, and turn on the other feature where it locks and stays, because you want it to stay. The guy is giving the the toast, and he's got the champagne in his hand. You want the camera to stay right there. You don't want it to go over to the person back there or some waiter that walked across the back of the room. So tap and track ain't going to hack it, and neither is going to be the face detection, because the camera is like a child that gets detracted. So you want to tap on the guy that's giving the toast. Ladies and gentlemen, the groom has been since I was little kids, and we grew up. It needs to stay on him. So you're going to lock. The camera has another feature, which is lock on that spot. All right. So now we've got face detection, we got tap and track, and lock on the spot. All right. No more focus. Don't move. Just stay locked. Then you've got another button on the top. Opens up a whole new world. You can have a wide area where it looks, or you can make it go down to a spot that you pick now. It's kind of like a combination of tap and track and focus lock. So it's going to continue focusing right where you put your finger, and not track. You're going to track. So all of this has got to come together like the Wizard of Oz, where you can make everything into one big show and make a presentation. So I wanted to bring that out so that people understand that are coming in to the Sony from a Canon or a Nikon or a Panasonic. You can do it. Don't get overwhelmed. It's a day-by-day thing. Spend time with the old girl, okay? And little by little, you'll get to know her, and things will unfold. If you're straight into Sony, you're going to have to learn this stuff anyway. I mean, there's no way around it, because if you want to tell the story in video or in pictures, you're going to have to be able to control your Maserati, because this thing is definitely a Maserati, all right? It's a well-built, good operating machine, but you really got to handle all the stuff that comes with the territory. Okay, that's my kind of little bit of a feedback today on the A7 Mark III. I'm new to Sony land, not new to cameras. I'm old. And old with the cameras too, since the 70s or the 80s. Another confusing camera is the Olympus. I love taking, I have an EM1. I have an EM1. I don't know where it is, okay? I love putting it into the hands of a professional photographer and say, change the ISO. Go ahead, I dare you. And he'll look and look and look, and there's no stinking ISO button on the camera, okay? So that's about it. I got to do, I don't want to say it's a rant, because I like the camera and I respect people that buy it, and I bought it. You're actually watching it. So that's it for today. If you got comments or questions, be nice, but put them down below. Please subscribe. I love all my subscribers. And who am I? Peter Gregg from Miami, Florida. Catch you later. Bye-bye. Whoosh.
You have just watched another Peter Gregg video. Something warm, human, and wonderful happens when you watch Peter Gregg. Thank you for watching. Description of all equipment used in this video, plus any notes Peter took while filming, are always placed in the description box, show more box, or down arrow thingy next to the title on mobile apps. Duly noted.